Good evening and welcome to Edessa, the Dark Crusade. Tonight we have a bit of more of a get-together. Two members of Clan La Sombra have been planning a bit of a transport of two, for most people, seemingly dead bodies with stakes poking out of them. Obviously not in full view of anyone, but they have been secretly transported to a place, I am guessing the palace, to meet with at least the sheriff, perhaps others. There's been a communique, a letter, that has stated that two members, namely Memnon and Madeline of Clan Sombra, have found a criminal that has stolen blood and is at least responsible for a citizen, a Tsamitsi of the city's death. And they have somewhat interrogated this person, and wish to deliver them for justice, as this should be handled by the, official part of the city, to a certain extent. And as the scene starts, Madeline and Memnon have just made it inside. The two bodies wrapped up in linen or cloth sacks or something Madeline is carrying one or maybe both of them. She doesn't seem to have too much difficulty with it. And they are, I don't know, are they seated somewhere to wait, or are they being let in more or less as soon as they arrive?
Pardon?
Madeline and Memnon are as they arrive, are they told to wait, or they might be?
Where are you with these staked bodies?
We have just entered the palace, unless we're stopped before that.
You would definitely be stopped because you have staked bodies. And this is the most secure building in the entire city.
Mm-hmm. Madeline will inform of the letter they have sent and the business they are here to discuss.
In which case you're required to wait a few minutes, and by a few minutes I mean like 10 to 15 minutes. Well, more or less. The whole of the palace's security, as it were, is basically made aware of your presence and that you're transporting objects of significance, and that you are the guard is very much told not to bother you in any capacity unless you are leaving, in which case you're encouraged to leave quickly or with haste, smoothly, speedily. So yeah, that does take a bit of time.
And while they're doing that, Madeline will just look to Memnon and I know station would have me carry the words, but I will ask you, do you wish to speak, or do you wish me to present the case?
I would leave it in your good counsel, sister.
Very well.
You would know protocols much more than I.
You know what they say. Practice makes perfect.
It's true. Is there anything, should you have to let me speak, should I be asked, that I should not mention?
In this, I do not believe so. Well, perhaps the nature of the house should not be mentioned. The security threat it poses, the tunnel. We need to, well, regardless, I do believe we have to collapse it, regardless, but for the moment, I do not believe it is something we need to mention. It will be. Perhaps I will mention it, but no need to bring it up unless asked about it.
As you say, and I believe we are of the same mind on the issue.
It poses a great security threat if this should be known to any invading army. But for a tactician, it could perhaps be used as a ruse as well.
There are many things that can be done with that space, but yes, security is the utmost concern. You see a twinkle in Memnon's eye as he just thinks about it. Yes, I could design something, but that's providing if we are urged to do anything of it.
Besides, the house is not within anything that can be claimed as a domain.
No. But the business, he raises an eyebrow with a smile.
Quite so. I must commend you. You have a good eye for it, it seems.
Everything has potential. Everything can be used.
Even Gillard. I have passed him water and bread, but his musings down in that hole seem to become quite a bit more desperate these last couple of nights. Are you planning on claiming him as yours, or?
Well, I had thought of some hungry dogs that needed to be fed, but I guess the jury is still out.
I would leave this decision to you.
He nods. Is there a claim you would wish to have upon him? His treachery has soured my disposition towards him.
Quite so. Although, was it the pull of his master on his mind? You cannot really fault him for it.
My sister Madeleine, you're more forgiving than I would have imagined. But you are right.
You know the pull of the blood. It is almost unbearable to stand against those who would claim you. But one could, of course, say that he did so not only as a product but almost willingly. His loyalty is to be questioned. And I see your point.
Well, I will make it the point to question him. It is a fair thing to do, even if he's not deserving of it. Perhaps it would speak better of my own self.
Quite so. Well, you know where to find him.
And as you're chit-chatting away, a familiar face will end up walking up to you. You both recognize him as the ghoul of the prince. And he'll just gesture you to come on in and bring your baggage with you.
Oh, they will.
How's this? How are they packaged, by the way?
It looks like it could be many things in there. It's not like clear. It's a body. It's linen or stuff wrapped in it. So, yeah, it could be a body, but it could also be stolen goods or stuff like.
Well, stolen goods. How prestigious for the palace you're about to enter.
No, but they've transported this, so it's like they have been covered and stuff. But yeah,
I don't know if it's too late to say, but Memnon does have a donkey and a wagon now. Packed into that, if you'd allow it.
That donkey ain't going very far into this palace.
That's
but
fine.
they've transported it up to there. Like once
Yeah,
they
it's gonna be
they will
tied
carry
to
them.
a,
Carry them.
that thing's gonna be safely tied to a pole nowhere near the entrance to the palace. Turns out they're not really.
That's fine. I'm sorry. I just thought the major concern was that bringing these things across town.
Yeah.
That's not a major issue. No, the donkey will just be left outside, tied to a pole or a fencing or something.
They will take a body each, I think. Yeah, they will.
You guys have plenty of potence. It doesn't really. The bodies feel very light.
Yeah.
But yeah, that donkey kind of they don't really like animals kind of in the palace too much, mainly because like on the kind of the like near the kind of guardhouse area, like the sort of barracks, like within the palace, that's fine. Like there's stables there, but not they wouldn't be permitted around most of the palace because animals are unhygienic.
Fair enough. I don't.
Cleanly. They're unclean, and like most of the outdoors of the palace is like one giant beautiful garden area, and obviously horses kind of ruin that. But and donkeys. But yeah, you're able to take your totally not suspicious cargo into the palace.
That will, in very, very distant future, be known as a mob carpet sample.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Yes, and you'll be led down the palace, down the same set of corridors, down the same familiar hallway. Well, the same familiar hall, sorry, not hallway. Down to the office, well, the adopted office of the prince, where Gerard is also, whom Gerard is also with. Having been called to execute his first duties as a sheriff.
As stoic as ever.
Good evening, the both of you. I am pleased that you would see us on such relatively short notice.
Yes, you caused quite a stir.
I apologize. But a Diablerist caught responsible for at least one person in the city's death, well, it's something that should be dealt with swiftly. And she unwraps the one guy who is clearly staked. And she will just lay him out on the floor. And this person seemingly had set up outside of the city a small house and lots of traps in less traveled areas. And apparently had either senses or powers of the blood to prepare traps and be quite aware of when these traps were sprung. And then overrumpled people, as he attempted Memnon. And as when I questioned him, confessed to 5 such crimes. I believe, and she points to the other package, this one, very young, of Clan Gangrel, had 2 of her fellows, well, their existence ended by this one. She knows very little. Wished to see them again, but we found ashes at the small house outside the city, so it is safe to assume that at least 2 others are dead.
The prince begins to stare at the corpse you're gesturing towards as guilty. Saskia, does this person have the iconic black lines in their aura?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
But Madeline already checked that. But yeah, okay.
I mean, yeah, but
I know.
Prince is doing it now. Independent investigation.
Mm-hmm. She was seemingly willing to return to her family. Well, family of the blood. But they are gone now. So, I believe that they wished to come to this city on a fairly normal basis, perhaps live outside the city with the other Gangrel. And she did not seem to have any love for the city itself, as their kind seems to have a propensity for, but regardless. I do not know if we would make any decisions on their behalf, but I do not believe that a person like that should be necessarily turned away just because they were the next in line to be diablerized. We found her staked herself in the house, and she points over to the man, with this person doing some sort of a ritual over her. Clearly just about to consume her soul as well.
Well, she brought his stake if she was innocent.
Well, when I began to hint at the fact that her family was, well, had already succumbed, she began panicking. She wanted to see them now and become more and more agitated, and, well, there are very few things in this world I would like to have near me. A frenzy and gangrel is one of them. I did it for me and Memnon's protection. Safer. She was quite agitated.
She doesn't really debate your point. She just kind of looks down to the body and back up to you and just allows you to continue, or anyone to continue, really.
But what we know of is that this person, she points down to the man again, had taken over a ghoul that used to belong to a Zemitzi of the city, a Zemitzi that is no longer among us, which might have been his first victim. I am not certain. But I will leave it to you whether or not the sentence should be carried out right now, or Glenn Zemitzi should be privy to this person, perhaps carrying out the sentence themselves. That is not my decision to make.
The prince turns to the good sheriff.
Gerard will look between the two bundles and say that the man must be destroyed now.
I've been able to verify his crimes. You're free to end him as you see fit.
And the other?
Did not pay for hospitality, but I'm unable to verify as to whether she would have even have had the opportunity if she were about to be eaten alive. So I suppose we can settle that after that one's execution. Just kind of nodding towards the bald guy.
Gerard will step around and try and take the gentleman if it is allowed.
You will not be stopped, well, at least not by Madeline.
Yeah. Well, he's not going to ash somebody in her office. It's just rude. Going to take him somewhere else. Dust him.
Memnon might ask if he can watch.
Gerard does not care and expresses as much.
Memnon would look to Madeline and the prince to see if they have no questions for him, he'd like to watch this guy's end.
I see no harm in it, but it is, again, not my decision.
I allow this.
Very well. Madeline does not seem to necessarily need to see this guy get destroyed, but he just stands there, smiles, waits.
Prince has nothing to say. Sheriff said you're allowed, so you're allowed. So she literally doesn't say anything.
Oh, okay. And yeah, he'll just follow Gerard.
Yeah. So I'm sure that there is a nice designated ashing place around here somewhere. If not, we will make one. And then he
You
will
the killing floor.
destroy the fellow in question.
Yep. There are plenty of rooms where you can safely destroy this man.
Meanwhile, they're doing that. Madeline will smile to the prince and say, "So, I must congratulate you and your sheriff. It is very good to know that order has been restored in the city. Oh well, but at least that the hunters are now no longer a problem that they used to be not too long ago."
Oh, of course, I was yawning. That can be put down to the skill and capability of my sheriff here.
I have seen some of those capabilities, and it is true. That he is. She will go over, just bend, like just lean down over the woman that has now been packed out of the wrap, and she'll just look at her and just say, "Oh, such a young thing." She expressed quite, I believe, a sincere wish to see her family. If you will allow it, perhaps I will lead her outside the city to see the remains. To make her understand that her family is no longer here. And then, of course, afterwards, perhaps direct her to her fellows of the blood.
For Prince, she doesn't rise. She's not particularly regal. She kind of jumps up almost off her chair. Springs up, just wanders over to this canine on the ground. And just pulls the stake out of her. When she's got but she places her foot kind of firmly on her chest first, so she can't just get up. And then she just literally just haphazardly yanks the stake out. She kind of has her foot planted on the chest of this poor girl.
Okay. Girl opens her eyes and tries to get away, but seems to be stuck, so we'll just kind of look up, look around.
Good evening once again. Madeline smiles at her. Relax, there is no need to be worried. You are still in Edessa.
She'll look up at the prince. Seems to be judging whether, she can fight her way out of this.
Well, the prince doesn't look particularly imposing. In fact, she actually has a fairly diminutive Fuck's sake.
That is not very dignified for a prince. No.
Diminutive.
Diminutive. Diminutive.
Wow.
Sure.
Diminutive.
Close enough.
I speak.
No. I've looked up the word. It's D-I-M-I-N-U-T-I-V-E. It's not diminutive. It's diminutive. That's the correct way to say it. I was right the whole time. You can't judge me.
Anyway.
But we will.
Yeah, the prince is not particularly imposing a figure. She's quite diminutive. She's probably about, I don't know, how tall is this woman?
Oh, she's tiny. I mean,
yeah.
She's
about as tall as, like, they're about as tall as each other, really.
This is the Prince of Edessa, young one. Come here. Of Glenventru. You are in her domain. We know that you have not committed any crime that we know of.
Before we get down to details, what is your name?
One.
One moment. Sorry, what did she say?
She said no one.
No one.
Yes.
The name given to her. She said this as well when I interrogated her. I suggested that she take a name herself, but I do believe she refused or did not see any point in it.
I highly doubt this. All people have names before they are embraced.
My father called me no one. I haven't done anything. Please, let me go.
The prince literally rolls her eyes at this. Do you know what you are right now?
Trapped.
Not what position you're in, what you are. That shouldn't be a particularly hard question to answer now, should it?
I'm a K-Knight, I know that. I'm a gangrel.
How long have you been a K-Knight?
Two changes of seasons.
She said since the changes of seasons?
2 changes of seasons.
So half a year, give or take?
Less than a year, okay. Approximately. Do you know what a gangrel is?
Yes.
Do you know what a clan is?
Yes.
Do you know what the traditions are?
Yes.
Name them for me, in order, please.
My father said they were things that you needed to listen to in the city. I've not learned them.
Not your father, your sire. very manipulative of him to call himself your father. Your sire made you a Cainite, your father is or was a mortal. Why were you in this city?
Because they brought me here. She looks at Madeline.
She was traveling with her family in a certain sense. Her sister and father. They were moving here from some other city to Edessa. And that is all I gathered. And, well,
Do we know this?
given what the father seems to have said to her, I do believe that he would be the one with the plan.
Do we know the situational whereabouts of this father or sister?
I told her once. They are no longer among us.
I don't believe you.
Do we know who in particular destroyed them?
The one that the sheriff has probably by now taken care of.
Then that resolves that issue.
That it does.
Concerning this, she's not been taught the traditions, but this is something that can be rectified. I appreciate you bringing her to me. The Yangrel Primogen will have to be notified of this. Ensure she is given a mentor that she can be instructed on the traditions.
I will, as I always have, stand ready to assist the city. If a non-gangrel is to be put with this charge, I will assist in teaching this young one, if necessary. But, of course, that should be the gangrel Primogen and your decision, of course.
I believe most would be fairly reticent, no offense intended, of course. You come from a good place. And I do appreciate you bringing both this violent criminal and this lost child to me. I'll make sure they get the help they need.
Very well. But
This, for the record, this is literally being said as the prince has her woman and is just talking almost as if she isn't even there.
yeah. And Madeline is totally cool with that for some reason. She just nods and you'll just say, "Oh my, I very much prize the relation between a student and a teacher. And I do not believe that there are anyone who is unworthy of teaching. But she is of their blood. It should be very much their decision."
Excellent, then. She looks back down to the girl that she's kind of got.
Girl looks back up.
Are you going to run away if I take my foot off of you? Not that it really matters, but I'd honestly prefer less melodrama than necessary.
Are you the alpha of this place?
There will be a tiny giggle from Madeline at that.
Prince kind of side-eyes Madeline for a moment.
Well, that is a very primitive way of describing it.
I am the prince, which means I am in charge around here.
Yes, you are. But I cannot say that I have ever heard it being described as the alpha. But, oh well.
But I am referred to as the prince, and that is what I expect to be denoted as.
Prince, but you are the first. I want to find my family. I don't want to stay here with the stones. I prefer to stay where there are woods and hills.
I find it most curious how you intend to hide yourself and find shelter in the hills, considering the nature of the sun.
We've always found caves.
I can imagine you'd have to go quite deep.
Yes. I do not like cities.
Oh, that is your prerogative. You are not obligated to like cities.
I need to look for my father and my sister.
You're obligated to learn the traditions first. I must admit I am quite astonished that your sire did not teach you them, considering their importance.
He did. I just don't know them well enough to recite them for you fully.
Well, that is something you'll have to be taught before you may look for your family. You are, as of this moment, a fledgling of Clan Gangrel, and as such, not responsible for your own actions.
My father is, but we got separated.
Well, by all means, if your sire can be located and brought to you, I would be more than happy to leave him with you. And he may take you on his merry way, but until that point you will not be permitted to leave the domain. I will not burden another domain with one who does not know the traditions and as such would serve as a threat to that domain. So unless you can convince me of knowledge that you seemingly do not possess, you will be placed under the custody and jurisdiction of the Gangrel Primogen, as until such a point that you can demonstrate your knowledge of the traditions to myself.
So you set me free and then you cage me again.
How was your first?
Freedom and respect is something that is earned, not granted out of hand. Particularly within a domain that is in a very much tenuous situation at this point in time. Regardless of what you may believe about the situation, I am very much doing you a great favor. I could have held you in contempt of the domain and simply destroyed you out of hand. Half of the princedoms within this county would have. I am giving you a second chance. I would earnestly suggest you take it.
Don't have a choice.
That depends on whether one sees death as a valid choice. I do agree with you. The simple fact of the matter is, if Isaiah did teach you the traditions, this never would have been an issue to begin with. And I could have simply let you roam as Gangrel would have. I still would have questioned your decision not to honor the hospitality in my domain by visiting me, but if nothing else, you would have shown you have the right to independence. Or at least the meager amount that we're all entitled to.
I wasn't in your domain until that person took me.
Well then, perhaps that is the one and only service they ever performed for me. As I don't see how anyone would be particularly accommodating of a canine that does not understand the traditions. But then again, you always did have your sire. We will make all efforts to locate him for you, so that you may be reclaimed. But if the reports are true, and I have good reason to believe them, then I'm afraid that will not be an option for either of us.
I don't believe he's dead.
You were bound to him, were you not?
That is a good question.
If you were bound to him, which I assume with the affection you speak of, that you would be able to feel him. Tell me, can you feel him at this moment? Can you feel your sister, if you were bound to her as well?
I was not. But I think he's away from here.
As in, you cannot feel him.
As in, he's far away.
There is no guarantee, of course. Madeline just does. I did find 2 sets of ashes. Well, me and Memnon did. But there is, of course, no guarantee that it was necessarily her 2 companions.
Do you have those ashes with you?
No, they were buried, but we can collect them as best as possible.
I will not order you to do so, considering that, as I'm sure you're aware, ashes have a tendency to wander after a given period of time. They've most likely scattered into the winds.
Their clothes were buried as well, some remnants of it. This could perhaps be used.
Perhaps, if you can locate their clothes, also what information I can discern from them.
Very well. Or at least we should see if perhaps there are other victims of this criminal who we can identify, or at least know certain things of.
Oh, Menmon actually has collected some of the ashes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Sorry about that.
Now, Menmon's not here to actually inform us of this, so it makes sense.
Right. I just.
Madeline,
That
Madeline
said,
did
the
see
execution
like-
has definitely finished at this point, so...
Yeah, but Madeline would actually say that she remembers, or she will just. I do believe that Memnon did collect some of the ashes, but there might be something we can glean from that, but we can return, reclaim clothing, whatever else might be there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me just know when.
Do for the moment.
I think you can re-enter. Like, the sheriff has done his thing, I think.
Yeah, the sheriff has done his thing. He's Andrew has done his thing, so...
Okay. Memnon just if a door is not closed, he'll just walk in. If so, he'll just rap gently.
Yes, do come back in, Menmon. I believe you have some ashes that I am quite interested in.
Ah, yes. Memnon fiddles in his pockets. I did plan on returning this to. He points to the girl. That one. If you wish to have it for your inspection, your will takes precedence.
One moment. How old are these ashes? Because that'll dictate the difficulty at which I roll.
When you say
Um,
old, sorry.
I mean, I was asking Saskia that, like, how many...
Yeah, because it's Saskia that knows, actually.
One is several weeks old, the other one several months.
Oh, okay. That's not too bad. That's probably... Weeks would probably be maybe -1 diff. Monks would put it as standard though. I'm just gonna roll standard. Oh, bugger it all to hell these ones. Yeah, what image do I get? I would have liked.
Okay.
Shit, I
Moment.
had a single
So
extra
you
success.
get
on
an
that.
you get an image from like the person the ashes belong to.
The relationship between the owner and the ashes as well. I know also
Owner.
X3 does give some base information on the item, if the item is of particular importance, and this is literally a person who's dead.
Yeah. Okay. So this was the one of several weeks. I take it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I get very detailed information, so I should get like a clear picture of their face.
That guy.
Okay. I'll project
Actually,
this.
he wears a kind of a, oh fuck, what's the word again? Commerce trader. He wears a trader's sort of outfit.
Merchant's gown.
Thank you. That and relationship to the owner. Who would be the owner in this case? That's kind
It
of
would probably
vague.
be, yeah, probably mean more about the person than the owner, to be honest.
Yeah.
So there is no owner. The aura left behind would be of the individual.
How many successes did you get? 3?
3. So I basically get I get kind of like very detailed information about like.
Okay. Well, this guy is a Timichi. And you can quickly see like his daily business. He was a merchant of wines. He lived in an alley near the bazaar in a house. And yeah, as you see him kind of turning into ash, you can see strange symbols painted on his face. And you quickly see the same face as the guy you just destroyed.
Yeah, she takes her finger out of the ashes. Rather, she just plants the kind of the palm of her second the second finger of her left hand on it, and she just takes it off. That is not her sire. That was a Tismisi.
Well, and there is a likelihood that he's indeed around, but apparently, if she looks down at the woman at the floor, he is not near her. He is far away. That still leaves her as the clan's problem.
Yes, then we'll simply have to continue investigating this one's missing sire. Until we do, I'm afraid you'll have to remain in the custody of your clan. Although you'll be under my custody for tonight, until your clan can reclaim you.
She'll kind of hang her head low. She seems to like accept the fact that there's no way out for her.
She'll take her foot off the young gangrel. I would suggest giving yourself a proper name.
My name is no one.
Hence, the extra word, proper name.
No one's our slaves, nameless, things. You're an individual.
Your Grace, may I entertain, if you would, entertain me, allow me to ask one question of her?
Go ahead.
Is there any reflective surface in this room?
Yeah, you don't show up on them.
I just want to know if she shows up on it.
Give me a moment. I think she does, but
There is the possibility, considering how popular this floor seems to be.
exactly, exactly. I'm like, shit. Where's her sheet? God damn it. Where is her sheet? That's shit. I can't find it so as quickly. I didn't think I needed it. Stupid of me. She does show up.
Okay.
Unless I find her sheet and we'll see otherwise. But as far as I know, she shows up.
No backseats now. You don't go this floor anymore.
Madeline will just look down at her and just say, "Might I suggest Marie? You look like a Marie."
She wrinkles her nose. No.
Why? If you do not wish for this to be the case, might I suggest that you find another suitable name in time, or else I will make sure that everyone knows to call you Marie quite soon. She's obviously putting some sort of joke in there, but she just smiles at you.
Prince smirks at this. This is a very real weapon against this person and their name.
No one does not smirk. She does not look pleased.
Lady Madeline, Manmon. Thank you for your efforts here this evening, and for all the work you've put in regards to capturing such a dangerous criminal of the domain.
There was... She looks at Memnon. During our investigation, it should be known, we found that this person had taken the ghoul, and they have access through a small house in Iraq to a quite problematic thing. A tunnel that leads out the city, under fortifications. We have had little talk of what to do. We have spent some time in the house. It is reasonable enough, but only recently have we examined this room. Obviously, the tunnel should be sealed off, or at least be examined fully, as to be trapped or something else. But I do believe it is something you should know of, and of course make a decision.
It is likely a tunnel from the sieges some time ago, or some sort of private pet project from some eccentric mortal.
But a quite significant security risk to the safety of the city.
We'll have it inspected and then sealed.
Very well. And the house within Iraq?
Handed without a problem.
Memnon has thought of it as a good place for a a sort of a meeting place. But since it is within the rack, no one can claim the place.
Naturally. How much you wish to invest in it in spite of that is your own prerogative.
She looks to Memnon, sees if he wants to interject anything.
OC, does this house have the tunnel on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
If-
She'll say, I do intend to demolish that building with the tunnel, however.
I see. Well. And she, of course, will just give her the location. Just, where and on the system, and she will just say, oh, and we might be securing a ghoul that we have put in timeout in the tunnel, but we will reclaim him soon enough. Should not be a problem.
I believe that is something you can leave to the court. You won't have to trouble yourself with that.
Very well.
I do appreciate your efforts in this matter. And Menmon, you've been making quite a name for yourself. This is the second time you've come to me with results regarding dangerous situations like these. I'll have to recommend you for a position as a hound.
Would this position take me from my work as a smith?
She looks highly entertained by your comment. Somewhat bemused. She's not sure whether to be entertained by this, like humoured or offended. I believe all positions of any significance will demand some time from those who adhere to it.
I must say that I could think of very few more worthy and better suited to defend the city. And a smith to boot is quite a good thing for all involved, I believe.
I would, Your Grace, hound or not, defend this city with my blood and my life. I don't quite need the title to do it, if it's all the same to you, but it is your decision. I will not disgrace you by turning down a request for my aid, if that is how you're putting it. And you might see Memnon kind of confused at this point, but
she looks a bit surprised at something, or kind of slightly troubled, or not necessarily irritated. That might be a part of it, but yeah, I think troubled would be not gravely, but like slight concern on her face. Being a hound gives you more leeway.
to be fair,
And of course far more prestige in the eyes of the city. There are certain things you cannot do as a citizen of the city that you can do as an aide to the sheriff, and in many matters would serve as their voice when the sheriff cannot be present.
and if I'm going to serve in a martial capacity, it would be my own life at risk. Should I take this position, I would only ask in order to excel in my position, tutelage be better martially.
And now you're asking for something in return from the prince, and now she does look a bit offended.
Do you want to make a roll for it? Because I'm not trying to say something in return. I'm trying to make a logical point. Like, maybe she thinks just... Maybe if she thinks that just because Memnon has gotten through this, that he's just good at being a hound, he's trying to point out, like, yeah, if you want me to do this job, it would help
Well, a
me.
hound is not always martial, and in fact, in most capacities, it isn't. Most of the time, you are simply enforcing for traditions. That doesn't always mean a fight. In fact, a lot of time means figuring out what the fuck happened.
Okay, out of character would have helped if that part was explained just a little bit.
So basically, as a hound, you serve as an aide to the sheriff. So, they may assign you. So the sheriff can assign you investigations or duties, where you'll effectively carry the sheriff's authority when it comes to investigating like that specific matter.
You're more like a police detective than a cop. Or
yeah, I mean, there will be times where you will be called upon to defend a domain, and it may be that the person you're investigating puts violent obstacles in your way or is violent when you find them. But that's always a risk. I mean, that was a risk when you decided to go out and take on a demon established as well. So
I was just trying to get something out of this.
Okay. That is also a term of prestige. People are going to listen to if you're a hound. You will, like, mechanically, you will gain a point in status. You'll be treated above the normal station of a neonate, and in addition, you will carry the sheriff's authority when he assigns these tasks to you, and you'll be given the respect that a subordinate, effectively a deputy of the sheriff, deserves. You know, if you tell someone to stop acting like an asshole, they're more likely to listen to you than if you weren't a hound. Not just because you have the title, but because you enforce the law. And there are you can say, well, maybe I'm the hound. I'm saying you're acting like a dick, and that's not okay. And I am a deputy to the sheriff. I speak with his weight, so stop acting like a dick. And then people might be like, I should probably calm down.
Right. Okay. So
there is a hard limit to that power, though. You don't want to abuse that because you're still just a deputy. You're not the sheriff, and if someone isn't breaking for traditions, it's kind of limited how much you can push that envelope. It's all about finding the balance, really. But yeah, I mean, being a hound is like considered a hound is kind of a common title for a neonate to have, because it's a subordinate position, but also serves as kind of a gateway for greater things, and also does carry with it a fair bit of authority. Like, again, you'll be considered, you know, far more respected and upstanding than other neonates. You'll be listened to, you'll be invited to events where you'll have a seat at a table, that sort of thing. Particularly when it comes to matters of the sheriff and interactions the Princeton sheriff may have.
Okay.
It's considered an honor, though. Like, if you were to ask for something in return for being a hound, that's not really... That would be considered a slight, because a hound is considered a distinct reward and honor. It's not considered a special obligation.
I mean, so what Menon's like was just trying to get at is that if she wants him to serve in this role, he wants to serve as best as he can. And as far as he knows, before all this explanation, he only thinks it's a martial role. If you want me to like try to get that point across somehow, I'll put it that way.
I think Madeline would probably also step in at some point. As soon as she has said that, she, like, if you will allow it, she will probably say something to the effect of,
"You're an ancillor, so," and you're trying to reword his statement. Yeah. So I will say roll. You can roll because you're an ancillor, so I'll say roll manipulation expression. And roll manipulation etiquette.
Both of them, or just...
Etiquette.
Such a useful trait, really. Etiquette.
Yeah, this gangrel has none. Jeez, scum.
Memnon has none.
Yeah, this is why it's good to have Madeline here because she has them.
You could have Irene here, but hey.
Irene would have fucking aced it. Should have gotten like 6 successes or something. Yeah, go ahead and roll manipulation etiquette. Okay, you got 2 successes, so I mean.
Yeah, Madeline will begin to just... my prince. I do believe that Memnon is quite taken aback by this very generous offer. What he merely wished to say is that he will better himself. In any way that this betterment comes to better serve the city and enforce the traditions he will be honored with. And with the charge. I will be one of the people who will assist him in accommodating this new role as best as possible.
In which case, Memnon, it would appear you have your tutor. A weight off the prince's shoulders.
Memnon isn't just talking shit. He's probably in his head like, so I'm not going to be destroyed right now? Okay.
Yeah, and you could see that Madeline does not seem irritated. Like, it seems almost second nature for her to do this.
Oh, why would Madeline dislike having Memnon as a hound? Couldn't imagine any reason.
Well, there's more to it than that. This is, again, someone who can be taught by her, and that seems, again, to be something...
We could discuss that after this scene.
Yes.
We've already done a fair bit of table talk, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, the prince will, yes, it would appear you have your tutor then.
And Madeline will just say, we appreciate very much your time. We will leave you with... And she just looks over at the very young gangrel. Memnon and I will be on our way if there is nothing else.
I believe that will be all. Thank you again for both of your efforts.
You are very welcome. Have a very good evening, the both of you. And yeah, Madeline will begin to get moving.
Memnon will skedaddle.
The prince will return to her seat behind her rather lovely desk and actually pull out a chair for the gangrel and will offer her a seat.
Yeah, she will sit down. She'll take the chair. This is how she feels right now.
Stockholm syndrome intensifies.
And I think this is the moment that we will end the scene.
Yep.
Thank you very much, players, for playing. What was that, Saskia?
I said yes.
Thank you very much, players, for playing. Watchers for watching. And STs for his team. Good night.